Okay. Speaking of swimmers, I had a very traumatic morning this morning, and perhaps that's why I'm in such a bad mood. But oh, the eclipse was today, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I watched a poor little duckling get eaten by another bird this morning, right outside my building,
What
and I
kind of
tried to
bird?
save it. It was a white one with like
Oh, like a
skinny
crane.
legs, and yeah, not as big as a crane, but some kind of pointy beaked bitch, whatever. I vowed that if I saw it in the parking lot, I'd run it over. Like we had four ducklings last week. We were down to two this morning. And then I literally watched him fucking attack the mom and the babies, grab a baby, and then carry it off to like right next to them, by the way, and eating it. And the poor little thing is suffering in the mouth, and I'm just screaming.
Probably a
So,
stork. There's a thing about flamingos.
oh, it looks like a stork. Yes.
Yeah, because there's a discovery video of flamingos, and when all the flamingos hatch, the storks come and fuck them all up. It's like a little baby flamingo massacre. It's terrible. I don't care about the
Awful.
circle of life. I'm part of life, and I'm part of the circle. I'm gonna smack that bitch until the bird falls out.
Wait, is that the
Exactly.
reason why storks are known for carrying babies to the parents? Like they always say that. I wonder if
Well,
some
you know
like poor
why?
child saw
I'm
that and then
also like a stork.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
well, that's not really how babies are made, Lance. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh, the fact that Mikey went in a whole different zone on that.
I
And you're
chose
like
to
still
put
trying
that
to
out
go.
of my head.
Kind of
Babies aren't
hypocritical
really.
of me for me to judge that bird for swallowing
Oh
all those
my
babies. Um,
God. Is this our last episode of our psychedelic month? Of our
yeah,
April Drools and Fools?
Yeah, yes, it is actually.
yes, because something we started doing, so everybody knows, is the last week of the month, we're going to do a listener suggestion. So instead of us trying to figure out what other movie we should watch, we asked the viewers like you and our wonderful viewer slash patron member, Carlos, was like, how about this movie? And so I was like, I've never seen it, but okay, if that's what you want us
Hi,
to do.
Carlos.
Hey,
Oh,
Carlos, keep
love you,
rocking
Thanks.
at the
Carlos.
gym.
Tell your
Yes.
friends about us.
Yeah, Carlos, this is what we did for you. So do something for us. I'm just kidding. I do have something that I did see to mention. As far as things I'm excited for the new Watchers movie coming out from I
Mm.
called her, I couldn't remember the last name, but I knew it was M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. So I said Little Sham. Um, but that looks cool. But I saw, which I didn't think I was gonna see, someone bought a ticket and was like, we're seeing this. And I was like, okay. The first Omen.
Mm.
I would have bet on anything that I probably would have seen Immaculate first. And no, my friend was like, "We're gonna watch this," and I was like, "Okay." I've seen the first one on television, so mind you, that's my knowledge of The Omen, and it was just kind of me. Oh yeah, I also saw the remake when I was a senior because it came out in 6606. But
Oh.
surprisingly, the first Omen was good. It dragged. I was like, okay, let's hurry up. But it was not. It didn't try to be like the first Omen. It didn't try to be like the original Omen. When you're watching it, my friend looked over and he was like, "What are we watching?" I was like, "A Suspiria remake, apparently." But it worked. I liked it. It dragged. It's not perfect, but I would say go watch it. I've heard it's very similar to Immaculate, so I'm excited to watch Immaculate and compare and contrast. But I probably my favorite Omen movie.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, if you're following our April Drools and Fools month, we're talking about movies with some sort of psychedelic, funky time going on and
Drug stuff.
drug stuff and whatnot. And I completely forgot the ending of this movie until I rewatched because I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie several times, and I don't know why. I always remember up until the point.
I know why you watch it.
Well, obviously, but I always remember up until the point, like up until the point a certain character bites it, and then maybe I just stopped watching it. I don't know, but I know that I've seen. I remember when I was around 18 years old, the guy I was dating at the time bootlegged all of the Hellraisers for us to watch, and this was like when you still had to like do things on a desktop computer and that sort of thing. Like I don't,
Windows.
yeah, I don't even know how he managed to do that, but he did. And but this would take it would take days if not weeks to download something. Remember those days? So
Yes.
I know that we had watched them all in the span of 3 days. So at that point, I had seen every single Hellraiser because we've only ever seen. If you were like me as a kid and you only watched these movies on TV because your mom would not let you rent them, then you probably only would see parts 1 and 2 because they're always on Sci-Fi, which
Yeah.
quite honestly, are the best two in the franchise.
You didn't like 3?
Pretty much. Three, I do like three. I've come to like three over time. And the reason I didn't like three, and this is probably the same thing, like we talked about this before when we talked about Children of the Corn, when you're watching them back to back like this,
Oh,
eventually you're like,
you're
Yeah.
tired.
yeah. And
Over
parts
it.
1 and 2 are such
Yeah.
strong installments. And then to follow it up with three, and the fact that the entire aesthetic of Hellraiser is completely changed, right, at this point. Yes, we still have Doug Bradley as Pinhead, but fun fact about Hellraiser Hellworld, this is the eighth installment, and actually Doug Bradley's last appearance as Pinhead in the
That's a
series.
Yeah.
shame.
I didn't
Sort
know there was at minimum 8 because there's more. But when I
Yes.
was like, oh, Carlos wants us to do this one, it's like the fourth one or whatever. Because I know I haven't seen the third one. And I was like, there has to be like one more after that. So it's probably the fourth one. And one of y'all was like, it's the eighth one. I was like, geez, how many of these movies are there?
Yes,
Yeah.
and probably I would say my favorite part or my favorite things about the Hellraiser series, all of them really, is that what are they going to come up with as far as Cenobites, right? Because they usually get new people and they create a new type of Cenobite. And part three has, I think, in my opinion, part three has the best creation of Cenobites, like the
Oh
twisty
yeah.
one with the guy,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. That's what I like
yeah.
about it the most. It's like legitimately.
And so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the background of Hellworld with you, and then I sort of wanted to go into the positives and then maybe some of the negatives of the film because obviously this is early 2000 schlock and it really feels like early 2000. The tagline is Hell Goes Online, which it's so funny watching people go online in the late 90s slash early 2000s because, it's like a big ass fat. Yeah, very cartoony, very the graphics obviously are very limited. And so when you're watching them do this, I'm sure at the time it was very plausible, but when you watch it now, and it was the same, I think we talked about this, the same kind of deal when we watched Strangeland and they're in the chat rooms and shit. Like, yeah,
Lawnmower Man.
yeah, you gotta wait for the fucking AOL to go through like the
You imagine somebody picked up the phone and stopped you from being murdered by accident, like that time frame. Like
yeah.
anytime you were on the phone, somebody pick up. Who picked up the damn phone? I'm downloading this song. I'm gonna start
Mm.
all over again.
Now, and with this one, yes, it is part eight, and it is the last time we see Doug Bradley as Pinhead. And I don't really know why he's not in any of the others. Safe to say that he's older. And I think this is another reason too why like everyone is like so up their own ass when you don't have Robert Englund play Freddy Krueger anymore, or at least in the last one. But Freddy Krueger, he's Robert Englund is in his 70s now, right?
I thought he
So
was in his 80s.
maybe his 80s. He is not bouncing around like he used to be able to, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Oh,
I don't want to put, it's not like when we have Nick Castle come back as a cameo as Michael Myers, because Michael Myers doesn't do much, right? Like he
Yeah.
walks around a little bit. So the tagline is Hell Goes Online, and on the bottom it says the newest, most horrific tale. Is it the most horrific tale? I don't know if I agree with that, but I find it hilarious that we just did a whole month on Children of the Corn, and I noticed Joel Soyson's name attached to this.
oh,
And if
shut
you
up.
remember, Joel Soyson, he directed, I think,
Uh,
Genesis and wrote Revelations, or or backed it or switched it around a
damn.
little bit. So he actually had a lot to do with the Children of the Corn series. And I noticed that when I looked up his bio, it's not just the Children of the Corn series. He has a lot to do with Dracula 2000 and Dracula 2 Ascension, some of the later Prophecy sequels. Yeah, so apparently he's pretty good at pumping the stuff out. So he did not write the film. The film is based on his short story called Dark Can't Breathe, and it wasn't intended to be a Hellraiser film.
the film it can stand on its own outside from being Hellraiser because it also very much resembles Stay Alive. Is that what it's called?
Is it the one with Ryan Reynolds?
Oh,
No, with Sophia Bush. Was Ryan Reynolds in that one? Where they play a game
no,
about
He's in one where it's
Lizzie
like
Porter?
he's in a coffin thing where he's like
no,
buried alive, or maybe that's what it was, or something like that.
no.
Lance.
No,
Mikey's
no,
talking.
seriously, there's a movie called
No,
where he's
I
buried
know there's
alive.
it's called
I
Buried.
don't know.
But
Oh,
how is
buried.
that
Okay, sure.
related to this film at all, Lance?
Well, no, because there is this things where they are actually buried alive.
Yes, but we're not talking about that yet. Okay. Will you
Fine,
stop
fine.
jumping the gun? When you host your episode, then you start talking and go off the left field all you want. Quick recapitation is that gamers playing a MMORPG.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a role-playing game. I don't know what MMO stands for. What is that? Multi Lance, you're the nerd. What does that mean?
I just kind of want to see you struggle a little bit here. That's
I don't know. See, this is where I should have just texted Joe before I got on here. Based on the Hellraiser film, I know we don't know them. Based on the Hellraiser films and their lives endangered after being invited to a rave, the host of which intends to show them the truth behind the Cenobite mythos. So
Yes.
let's
stands
go
for
around the room. Go
a
ahead.
massive multiplayer online, something like that. Multi something.
Oh, thank you. So we'll go around the room and talk about positives, I guess, Mikey. Or
Oh,
what
well,
did
then
you
never
want to
mind.
say
Skip
before
me.
that?
I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
no, I said
No,
Mikey.
no, because you said positives. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding. I have a lot of positives. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I love Catherine Winnick, but I have umbrage with her casting in this film.
mhm.
It felt more 90s teen horror film, which Hellraiser really hasn't been for me.
Mm.
It was funny because I liked the twist ending because right when I was in my thoughts watching the movie, I was like, why did Carlos recommend this movie for the drug month? And then right when I thought that is when the twist happened, I was like, oh. In this era, I feel we're reaching the end of people making direct to video movies seriously because it
Hmm.
looks good. They have actual talent playing these parts. You know, the story back then probably was unique. You know, these days it's like, oh, we have two movies already about this stuff. But I liked it. I wasn't bored. Lots of sex. I was surprised.
I don't know. God, it's gonna just basically sound like I'm just talking about all the negatives. I'll try to go with more positives. Positive. Lance Hendricks is amazing, and I think he did amazing for what he had to work with. Uh, Cavill actually was a lot better than I thought he would be for, especially for that age. Like he was really young. I mean, like
Yeah, his baby
he
face.
must have been like 19 or something like that, or like early 20s. Um, so like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this story would have been great if they had like headset type of video game type style or something like that. Because when we were going into it, I kind of thought that was what it was supposed to be, but I could only imagine how much more cringier it would have been with the CGI if they had gone that route with it, you know? Because the video game part of it was very kind of
A
there.
side thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought they did a really good job in trying to kind of masking uh like the drug thing, and then you're not knowing exactly, especially because of the lore of Hellraiser. So I thought that was kind of cool, where you honestly don't really know because you're thinking to yourself, well, it is Hellraiser, you know,
Yeah.
but they do keep bringing up the fact that no one actually messed with the box, you know, like it's like no one actually, did anything. So I thought that was kind of cool. That was kind of like the highlights for me, honestly. And the rest of it's probably going to be downhill from that, but yeah.
Uh,
Dang.
yes, I mean, while it's not the strongest installment of Hellraiser, I do think that the positives are there because it is filmed well. Like it does look good. The aesthetic, it
Mm.
doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like, that they just kind of slapped it together because they basically did. But I think that eh, aside from Winnick, I feel like all of the characters brought their A game. There were some holes that we had, but I feel like a lot of the holes that you have in the film are sort of answered at the end because, and there are spoilers. So if you want to watch this, where's it streaming? Is it streaming?
Peacock.
It's streaming on Peacock and Pluto. So
Oh, sorry,
if you
not
have
Peacock, Pluto. I know it was something to pay.
Pluto,
Pluto for
I
free.
mean, for
Yes.
free, or you,
Oh my God, Lance.
oh my God, or you can,
What?
I'm, I love how his hat says adolescent because it's true.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little far-fetched in the sense that all of these are very attractive people, and like most of the people like spending hours and hours on these
Oh, wow.
role-playing games sitting around
Wow,
are
are you
no.
attacking nerds? Are you
I
just
mean,
you're
no,
attacking
I'm not
nerds right now?
attacking nerds. I'm saying that the people that are legitimately addicted to these things don't take care of themselves or their outer appearance or anything. Have you seen any of the documentaries where they have to go and like peel the guy out of his
You
seat?
do know Henry Cavill almost missed his actual knowing that he was Superman because he was playing like World of Warcraft legitimately, who's obviously an attractive man because half the people who love that man think he's just gorgeous as all shit. And he's
I think
more
only one
nerdy
of us
than
here
nerdy.
would fuck him, and it's not me and Aid. But
Oh, okay.
You know what?
No, but first of all, and I'm not saying that, okay, he was very attractive back then, but clearly people don't know because if he looked like that in his early 20s, I'm sure he was still getting laid at some point. So he was getting out of the seat. I'm just saying the way that they were talking about them being so heavily obsessed and addicted to this game that it's ruining friendships and now their friend has killed himself over it. Like it just stands to reason that they would look a little bit more like the people from Toad Road, in my opinion, than the people in this movie.
yeah, they
I'm
look like
just
the girl with
saying.
short hair.
If you like nerd movies, you're in nerd stuff, you're very unkept. You don't look like you might, I don't know, have a girlfriend or boyfriend.
I'm not saying that they're unattractive, like they're ugly. I'm just saying that they wouldn't be taking care of themselves. Like, anybody with an addiction is not worried about how they look.
But it's different. And actually, this actually brings me to what I was thinking of with Catherine Winnick, because I do like her. And I don't think she did terribly. I think she was miscast because I don't see her as a gamer girl. But these days, we have people that are highly immersed in video games that are also highly immersed in the way they look because they get money from it through
Yes.
Twitch or
Yes.
Marvel. I mean, Twitch. Sorry, that wasn't a diss to Henry Cavill. But Twitch streaming all those, oh, I'm a girl gamer, like, and so
Yeah.
when I was watching it, I was like, first of all, I'm so glad we got rid of that zigzag hair part because I almost threw up multiple times in the beginning when she had that. The friends in general didn't seem, and it's not, I'm not saying, oh, they were all too pretty to be gamers. I'm not like Aid, but they also just didn't seem like gamers in terms of like their chemistry together, the way that they acted, the way that they dressed, and it's also because they were like preppy. And it was the friend group was just also weird because when they were at the funeral, the guy that's like Jake, the one that's like giving them shit, I'm like, why are you so fucking pissed off? Like all of y'all were friends and played this game, but he blames everyone else. I also feel like I was missing a lot of information when I started watching this movie because I was like, how do they know about Hellraiser? How is there a game about Hellraiser?
Yeah, like how did Laura get into a video game?
Yeah, and so I was like, was this in the earlier movies that I didn't see? I mean, I just kind of like let it go and just let myself enjoy the movie. But
I mean, there's 4, 5, and 6 that we haven't
exactly
seen. So.
3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7.
Yeah,
3.5.
I think that what it was, I want to say what was implied was that this that probably the string of murders and what was happening to all the people who were victims of the Cenobites throughout the other films. Obviously, it was televised, but nobody really believes people about what happened, right? So, they're like, oh, it's a little box and da da da. But you really don't see the box. You see it, which I thought was great. And I'm like, where is this prop now? Because I want it for my house. Is that giant ass lament configuration that's
Oh, the
spinning when
one,
they walk into the
yeah.
party? Like, how fucking, like, that was my favorite thing
That's
about
pretty
this
cool.
movie. I was like, oh my God, I want that in my house. I put it in my foyer so people can admire it. And,
Well,
you know,
I love Aid, my foyer.
Oh,
Yeah.
shut up. Why does everybody make fun of me for saying that? Like, I'm not the only person who says it that way. That's how
Because you make
say
it sound like it's so ginormous of a place
The
in
foyer
your
in
house.
your grand entrance hall.
I wish they would
Reboot.
do a reboot now, honestly, with the way they
Well, they
could have
did.
make it look
Well,
like
they
a
did.
real one, like a good one.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. So
Hey, someone's not a trans ally.
I do like the Hulu
Like going
remake,
that route.
but a lot of people and well, my kid,
Lance said, "Make my Cenobite male, please."
I know.
Did not. I did
Well,
not.
I think the Cenobites are androgynous, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I don't think they're
there's
male
no
or female.
sexual scenario when that comes to that.
But as far as like that one goes, I know a lot of people don't like it because Doug Bradley boohoo, and they gave the same shit to Hellraiser Judgment. Oh, it's not Doug Bradley boohoo. And then the other one where and this is the one that Doug calls whereas he says that Pinhead looks like he's taking a shit on the cover. I forget the name of that one. But I think that's the first one that is not played by, again, Pinhead is not played by Doug Bradley, but people were up in arms for this Hulu one. And I'm like, this is not the first time you guys complained about it. And I don't really think it matters. If you do makeup good enough, most people can't tell that the female Cenobite in part one is played by a different woman in part two.
Yeah.
And it is.
It's
And
just
she is.
stupid because
Yeah.
even Clive, I'm not even a fan of the series. I mean, a fan of the story, so I don't know why I'm defending it. But in the original story, it's a sexless, genderless entity.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it actually is quite poetic that it is played by a trans person.
Mhm.
And I say that because one of the comments on some article, because they're coming out with a sequel for the reboot, which like I wasn't a huge fan of the reboot, but I'm like not opposed to a sequel because I think they did have good kills and stuff.
Mhm.
And some guy was like, yeah, it'll be great. They just need to make Pinhead male again. And I was like, that's so stupid. The only thing that, because the things that I've mentioned are just things that I think would have made the movie better. They didn't ruin the movie for me. But
Yeah.
things that I did not enjoy was just the friendship dynamic. Because like when they go to the party and they see Jake, who's obviously mad dogging them, and they're like, oh, fuck, Jake's here. And they turn around and they approach him and they're like, hey, hello, don't fucking talk to him. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, fake ass shit right there. I hate
Yeah,
that.
I'm
No,
like that.
I hate to
I
say
don't,
that I do that.
we know. Like Lance said, fake ass shit. But I just, that bugged me. But honestly, not much else bugged me. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll save my wrap up feelings for later, but it was just the friends that kind of annoyed me. There was nothing story wise that I was like, oh, this is stupid. It was mostly just an unrealistic portrayal of friends and relationships. And maybe that is realistic for other people, but like if I don't like you, I'm not gonna fuck with you. You're gonna fuck right off.
Yeah. Lance?
Oh, here
Let's
we
see.
go. Okay, start the timer. Give me 15
I know.
minutes.
No. I'll make it quick. It'd be great if this was like a separate movie, you know what I mean? Just about a revenge scenario. And it was just the thing, and they didn't even have it in there. But like the fact that Bradley like wasted his Pinhead last thing, where like every once in a while he would come in and go, yes, you'll die. Welcome to it. He was right. Like I was like, oh, this is so annoying. Like just a shame.
Well,
I didn't
yeah.
hate it. I just
sounds like you hated it, but you actually reminded me of something, and maybe this was done on purpose because when he kills the guy who needs the puffer, the asthma thing,
that's so horrible.
he kills him, and Pinhead doesn't actually kill people, like, right?
No.
Yeah.
But that's also
No.
because it wasn't Pinhead, it was the illusion of Pinhead. So
Yeah,
like,
they
okay, well, I
were.
guess, but like, did the writers do that on purpose, or were they like,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Just to
kill
piss off
him?
everybody.
Yeah, and so I don't know, but
And
that was one thing I was like, and again, this is coming from someone that's not really invested in the series, and I'm like, I don't think he kills people.
Even Lance Hendrix's death, honestly, isn't very Hellraiser-ish. Like,
well, no, that's yeah, because that's what happens to Frank in part one. He gets split apart.
right, but he has to suffer. I mean, that seemed like very just you're done. Like they sliced them up, which is amazing. By the way, that's a great kill. A lot of the kills in this were actually, to go back to some good parts, were pretty decent.
And so Lance Henriksen, not Hendrix, Lance.
Wow, Lance.
They could have. I'm glad that he did the movie. he could have been. They could have made him a little more sinister. I feel like they just really tried to put some comedic relief into this film. But if you look back at movies from the early 2000s, specifically that year, I'm not gonna. That's all I'm gonna say. We
Wait,
had.
just to ask you a question though. When he fell over the stairwell, right? Do you think that was imaginary or not imaginary? Like, right? Because like that was one of those scenes where I'm like, oh, so was that still in their drug phase that he just got up? Because like he just got up, and you're like, oh, he's
I
not
don't
dead.
know.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
no idea.
Lance,
Go on.
you're
I'm sorry.
thinking
Tell us about the
too
year
deep.
in
No,
2005.
no, Lance, he like totally ruined my segue. Final thoughts. Did we like it? Would we watch this again? Does it have any rewatchability? How many skulls would you give it? Blah blah. Mikey.
I liked it, but I'm feeling like Lance is trying to convince me not to like it. But I would say that I'd give it like 3 out of 5 stars, only because towards the end it was a little confusing. I'm not really a fan of movies, especially when you're the eighth one of the series where like you have to pay attention. Like if I want to look down and text somebody because you're on the eighth entry of your series, that should be fine.
And
Here we go. Another dissertation.
no,
I know.
it's
Get
I'll probably
comfortable.
I'm gonna
Let me
probably
start
get
braiding
a
my hair again.
it's probably gonna get a 2 for me. It was entertaining, and there were some redeemable things, especially from some of the amazing people that are in it. Uh, and the kill scenes were decently enough, and one of those things. It's just you kind of got a vibe that this movie was like not on their like important list, and it felt like it was kind of shoved out. I enjoyed it and it was entertaining enough. One time, yes. 2 times, I probably won't ever try to watch this if I don't have to.
Sunday night before I leave. Lance, I want to watch
I would like to
Hellraiser Part 8.
revisit.
I will literally leave the room and let you watch it.
Well,
Oh, that's so mean.
but we should definitely watch Deader just so we could see like, any of the similarities, differences between that one and this one. Alrighty. Well, that concludes our faithful episode of Hellraiser Hellworld. I'm actually excited we did a Hellraiser for a change. I know
Yeah,
that we
you're
did
welcome,
talk.
Carlos.
Thank you,
Yeah, you're
Carlos.
welcome.
Thank you for the suggestion. And
I don't know why
and
Lance
yes,
said thank you. Lance fucking hated the movie. Go ahead.
oh my
Hey, I
God.
like the fact that he understood what our month was about, and it definitely had the drug scenario in it. So like, and it was basically the basis of this whole movie. So
Yeah,
he was
it is a
absolutely on point with
spoiler.
that.
So
Yeah.
again, if you don't want any spoilers, well, too bad. You've already listened to the episode. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, so if you want to support us monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/slasherspod, where you can donate anything from $1 to $10 and join a tier. And we'd be happy to give you any early access and any trailer park reviews, any special little goodies that you get on Patreon. So please make sure that you subscribe if you want to support us monetarily. If you want to follow us, you can follow us all on Instagram. Mikey at Horror and a Half Shell, Lance Zombie versus Hate, and you can follow me at Pathologically ADE, or you can follow our podcast pages. We've got Flashers Pod and the Mutant Goons from Beyond, both on Instagram and Facebook, as well as our TikToks. And don't forget the TikTok, and don't forget to follow us and like and subscribe on YouTube because we're putting a lot more shorts now on YouTube. So if you would like to see our beautiful faces and, especially some of the expressions that some of us get for
What?
some of the
Age?
comments. What? No. So
And if
please
I
feel
may
free.
interject,
Mhm.
on YouTube, Lance and I will be starting to delve into the world of horror comics. We're hoping and plotting to see if Aid will ever get involved, but I know she's busy and I don't know if she reads comics, but we'll see. Maybe we can be like, oops, I left this comic at your house, Aid. Maybe you should, I know you don't like reading, but let's try giving it a whirl. But
that sounds like it's gonna be a me job.
yes. But yeah, so they're gonna be quick little spoil-free reviews of some comic book series. So look forward to that coming through the pipeline.
Yay. Yeah, so I hope you guys are looking forward to anything new that we have going on. We're trying to change up some things and give you a fresh new podcast slowly but surely. So if you are liking anything, please let us know. If you hate anything, let us know. If you'd like to see anything special, let us know. And well, you can, unless you're sending a nude, you can DM me or send an email out there. So
Oh, she
if you're
wants
sending
it. Never mind.
if you're sending a nude, you can send it to Mikey because that's what he wants, or just send it to Lance so he can be traumatized. I don't care. Anyways, that concludes our April Drools and Fools month. We still have our Patreon episode coming up, but if you'd like to have any suggestions for what's to come next or any themes and you want to let us know anything you'd like to hear, just let us know. You might hear it, you might not, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So there's that. With that, I would just like to say thank you, gentlemen and ladies, or whatever. Goodbye and good die.
Goodbye. Don't tie. Call a motherfucking ceasefire.
Die, but not like that.
Wow,
Thank
A.
you.
I mean, wow, Lance. Right after I
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
So classy.
Anyway.